What's cracking, everybody? Mighty smart guy Matt Zapala here, hailing to you from Dallas, Texas, and welcome to another episode of the Millionaire Goals Podcast here, episode 19, baby. Here joining me in the studio is my co-host, Approach Your Trend, and my boy. What's going on, Milton? How you doing, brother?
It's a great Monday, man. We are 13 subscribers away from hitting our first 1,000.
Yo, man, 19 episodes in and close to 1,000 subscribers. We appreciate you for support. Listen, guys, we are talking about faith, finance, fitness, from a biblical perspective of how to approach areas and aspects of our life. And we're glad that you are all vibing to this message when we promise you we're only going to get better. So in this episode, we got a bunch of topics here, such as the exact six-figure salary that Gen Z and millennials need to feel like they've made it. We've got the Bible cure for healing from trauma. We got what you need to be doing as a parent to help your children grow. It's an interesting specific topic here that I think a lot of people have looked over because of technology. And also we're going to be reacting to a bunch of videos here. In other words, these are our first reactions, first look at these videos. So you and I are watching it for the very first time and getting our genuine, authentic reactions to some of these videos. So why don't we jump into that? Let's take a look at some of these videos here. So the first one here, the Steve Harvey video, Jordan, if you could please, about getting away from your family members. What does he mean by that?
Get away from these people that's in your life that ain't doing nothing. Get away from people in your life that's hating. Get away from your family members that ain't ever opened a business. Get away from your family members that ain't ever followed their dreams. Get away from your family members ain't never been nowhere but to the family reunion. Get away from them. Get away from them. I had to do it. When I told everybody I was getting into comedy, man, oh, Lord have mercy. You can't get into comedy. You ain't even funny. How you gonna make money telling jokes? Now, in the beginning, it looked like they was right. But I never gave up.
That's it, man. That's it. Because he was a big thinker. Yeah. You know, small thinkers will think about the worst case. The bigger thinkers will think about what if. And so, you know, I've had to go through this process myself. Everybody that's achieved any level of success financially, in their career, their business, whether you're a celebrity, somebody that's in the business world, you had to get through some form of separation of the people that you were raised with, the people that you grew up with, your family members, because of them trying to talk you down out of your dreams. My Marines told me, hey, Zapala, all you know how to do is be a United States Marine. What do you know about finance? Did you just file bankruptcy a year ago? Did you just file for divorce? Aren't you a single dad at 3? What the heck do you know about money? Well, guess what? 23 years later, here we are. And so I stuck with my decision, and a lot of people stuck with their decision, but my decision was to also separate myself from people who were thinking about small things, small endeavors. What are your thoughts about this, brother?
Same exact thing, man. When I started my business in 2020 during the pandemic, all my friends, not one single person said, hey, I'm rooting for you. I believe that you can do it. I believe you can actually make it. Every single person offered me a job saying, hey, you got furloughed. You need to get a job, Milton. There's no way in how you're going to make it. You know nothing about business. You didn't even graduate college. You went to 2 trade schools. You have no idea on finance. You went to Proviso West High School. They didn't teach you shit about finance or business. There's no way in hell, Milton. You're going to put your family through this. You're going to put your legacy through this. Are you really going to put yourself in a position where you're going to not be able to meet the goal that you're trying to achieve? It's too hard, too difficult. You can't do it. Just stop thinking outside of the box.
And it's hard to do that because your identity is so much of who you grew up with. Your identity is the people that you love and care about. But your purpose is different than your identity.
1,000%.
And so when you look, we've been reading this book here. I'm rereading this book here. All of our guys is our book of the month, Magic of Thinking Big. Right here in page 14, it says, it's all about belief. Belief is a thermostat that regulates what we accomplish in life. He who believes he is unimportant, so everything he does has an unimportant mark. As time goes by, the lack of belief in himself shows through the way the fellow talks, walks, and acts. Now, look across the way at the person who is advancing forward. He believes he is worth much. He receives much. He believes he can handle big, difficult at times, and he does. Everything he does, the way he handles himself with people, his character, his thoughts, his viewpoints, all say, here is a professional. Here is an important person. That's why you got to think about your purpose, man. And so in that process, as much as now, we say to cut them loose and forget about them, I mean, still show up to the barbecues.
Yeah, it's good food.
Still show up to the family gathering, but this doesn't necessarily mean if you are on purpose, that means you're there all day.
Yeah.
You know, so let's go to the next video. Ryan Reynolds is a billionaire, and it's not from acting. Let's take a look at this.
Ryan Reynolds is now a billionaire, but it's not from acting. It's from this one thing that he calls fast advertising, and it's brilliant. He just sold Mint Mobile for $1.35 billion. 2 years before, he sold Aviation Gen for $610 million. And then last year, he bought a soccer club for $2.5 million, turned it into $4 million with one documentary. What he basically does is he bought a digital marketing company. And he said,
for all the companies that I buy, you're going to take whatever's happening in the news and you're going to immediately create ads surrounding it for my companies.
So when that Peloton chick was in the ad where her husband bought her an exercise bike and everybody was freaking out, within 48 hours, Ryan's company had casted, script, and shot an ad for his company, drafting off this little story that was happening in the news. The secret to Ryan's success isn't that he has millions of followers online. It's that he took attention and fast execution and put them together to create billion-dollar brands. Something we could probably all learn from.
And I know some of you guys are thinking, oh, it's so lucky. You know, he's an actor. He's got paid millions and millions of dollars. Well, listen, if you look at, Jordan, can we take a look at my screen here real quick? I just Googled really quickly his list of movies. He's been in movies since 1993. Ordinary Magic, The Alarmist, Coming Soon, Dick, Bottleneck, Alive, Finder's Fee, National Lampoon's Van Wilder, Buying the Cow, The In-Laws, Foolproof, Harold and Kumar Go. So look at all these movies he's been involved in. Okay, I can go on and on and on. Basically, a movie every other year. Right? He's got a movie every other year. Some every year. 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. Multiple movies a year.
Jeez.
Because now he's getting momentum. So here is just one movie every other year, right? One gig, another gig, 2 gigs. Here, 3 gigs, 2 in 2000, 1 in 2001, 2 in 2002, 2 in 2003, 2 in 2004, 3 in 2005. Henry Horny, ever seen that movie, bro?
Yeah, I wasn't fond of it.
Yeah, exactly. 1 in 2006, 2007, 3 in 2008, 4, 2009, 2010, 3 in 2011, stacking movies on top of it. He's got momentum, but it's going back to when? 1993. This is a 30-year career. And one thing I want to caution people is don't confuse this guy's chapter 35 with your chapter 1. He became a billionaire because he's been at this for a minute.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm a big fan of Deadpool. Talk about dark humor, huh? It's nuts. But he's become a billionaire not as an actor. Think about this. He used acting as a financing vehicle to get him to invest in other things. Now, I don't know Ryan Reynolds personally, but these are moves that are indicative of somebody that makes money instead of blowing it, instead of trying to to be somebody that he's not, materialism, et cetera, et cetera. He used that acting money as a springboard to get him to be a billionaire, to invest in these brands today. So that's what you do with your money. Savers and investors. And you create that one thing. And sometimes people think, I need to create multiple streams of income, Well, this guy dedicated himself to acting and making money in movies in Hollywood. But he used that money to reinvest that back into businesses, into ownership. He played as an actor to make the money, but he thought like an owner the whole time through. Milton?
Talk about living below your means. All right, now I just went online and I typed in, and again, I could be completely wrong. This is based on paparazzi stuff, right? What kind of car does Ryan Reynolds actually drive? This man drives a 2014 Cadillac Escalade. You would think that a lot of people, especially nowadays, a lot of these kids nowadays, you know, they make some form of change, or people who aren't really financially aligned with what they should be doing or what the future actually should have for them, right? What was one of the first things? One of my friends, he made $250,000 maybe about 2 years ago because he became a lawyer. Yeah. Right now he's maybe about $350,000 a year. The first year he blew it all on luxurious vehicles, going out popping bottles, buying Rolexes, buying top of the line shoes.
Yeah, bro, I was there too. I don't blame him, man. I get him.
First year.
Yeah.
This man's driving around in 2014 Cadillac Escalade. 2014. Yeah. You don't see this guy stunting on social media with Actually, I actually follow him on Instagram, and you rarely see him posting anything that's glamorous. You rarely see that.
He's in the grind.
He's in the grind.
Yeah.
He's always consistently doing his. He's always on the set, on his stories. He's always with his family. He's always doing something that doesn't really show. Oh, I'm made of money, even though we all know that he is.
For those of you that know Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah.
let us know. Have you worked with him to some extent? Have you worked with him in Hollywood? Have you worked with him in his businesses? What is this guy like? Maybe that's the guy we need to interview here on the podcast. Ryan Reynolds, salute to you, another billionaire because he reinvested that money back into business. Jessica Alba, same thing too.
Yeah.
Became a billionaire because she reinvested her money from entertainment into businesses. Again, we're watching this movie with Patrick Bet-David in a couple of days. Air. We're watching Air. A bunch of us were renting out a movie theater. Patrick is hosting this thing. We're watching Aaron unpacking the lessons learned in Air, which is the story of the Michael Jordan brand. At that time, Converse had over 50% market share. Every NBA player practically was wearing Converse. The other brand that people were wearing was Adidas because that was Run DMC. It's right to rock around. That's right on top. It's tricky. Come on, bro. And then the third one was Nike. I had like a 17% market share. Yeah. But first time ever in the history of sports marketing had an athlete had a shoe named after him. That's Air Jordan. And the funny thing about this movie, not to give too many spoilers, but the funny part about that was through a heated debate and argument with Michael Jordan's representation, his agent, his lawyer, and the guy at Nike. They're having an argument. Next thing you know, the guy comes up with, what are you going to call it, Air Jordan? You write that down, right? That was a good name. Now the shoe's Air Jordan. But Michael made his money primarily playing basketball. And he would tell you in the Last Dance documentaries, nothing would matter unless he performed on the basketball court. Once he performed on the basketball court, all of these opportunities opened up. So find that one thing. Multiple streams of income happen after you create this Amazon river of opportunity. It's mastering a subject. Just like Ryan Reynolds here mastered movies and creating relationships in Hollywood so he can reinvest that money. Congratulations to him. Let's look at this. Speaking of basketball, speaking of sports, let's look at this next video here on Giannis A5. We call him A5 because
A5.
his last name. How do you say his last name?
Bro, I was watching the video right now and I completely forgot.
Anyway, we say A5 because there's 5 syllables in Giannis's last name. But he's shutting down a reporter about failure. Let's take a look at this.
Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh my God.
He says he
you
thinks
asked me
this
the
is a
same
failure.
question last year, Eric. Do you get a promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure? That's what you're telling me. It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. You know, there's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful, some days you're not. Some days it's your turn, some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. We're going to come back next year, try to be better, try to build good habits, try to play better, not have a 10-day stretch with playing bad basketball, you know, and hopefully we can win a championship.
That's attitude, man.
Steps to success, man. You know, oftentimes people think that just because you have a setback, you have a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, that your endeavor is a failure. You've been failing over and over, saying yes. You think it's a failure. Speaking of Michael Jordan, Jordan, can we take a look at my screen here real quick? This is a poster. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been entrusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. I think there's actually a commercial back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, he wrote this in it's kind of like a very dramatic type of video. But this is it. You call his career a failure. You know, we always talk about doing one more phone call, you know, one more appointment. You have a failure today? One more meeting. Take one more call. Go one more hour. You book 25 appointments. Only 3 or 4 is going to confirm and show up. Invest one more hour. Keep going at it. You know, what do you tell me in the gym? Bro, let's work it out to failure. What do you call that? AMRAP? AMRAP.
As many reps as possible.
As many reps as possible. Basically, it's forcing you to failure.
To get past your certain threshold, that glass ceiling that we all have for ourselves.
And your body grows because of...
Yeah, the tension that we're supposed to be putting on and the pressure. The tension and pressure. But it's obviously it's a combination of other things. But I like this guy's attitude, man. You know, a lot of people, they can consider those type of situations as failures because they've never failed in anything in life. They've always been covered. They've always been sheltered by either family or just the path of life that they chose. But the people who've actually done something big or who are doing something, those are the people who are comfortable with the idea of consistently failing forward. You know, there's a lot of people who fail and then they stop, and that's a complete failure versus failing, not being able to achieve what you're trying to achieve, but continually moving forward, even if it's at a slower pace.
I'm quoting this book again, Magic and Think It Big. By the way, you guys got to read this book. He talked about two different guys in your brain. He talked about Mr. Defeat and Mr. Triumph. Mr. Defeat if Mr. Defeat in your brain is given more work to do, he adds personnel and takes up more space in your mind. Eventually, he will take over the entire thought manufacturing division in your brain, and virtually all thought will be of negative in nature. The only wise thing to do is to fire Mr. Defeat. You don't need him. You don't want him around telling you that you can't, that you're not up to it, you fail, and so on. Mr. Defeat won't help you get to where you want to go, so boot him up. You're fired. But Mr. Triumph, hire him 100% of the time. When any thought enters your mind, ask Mr. Triumph to go work for you. He'll show you how you can succeed. And just like Mr. Defeat, he'll also recruit more people in that department. So if you're going out there, you say, Matt, listen, to save my money, to invest my money in this endeavor, to be an entrepreneur, to become a first-generation cash flow millionaire, I'm failing at. Okay, this is an opportunity for you not to quit. This is an opportunity for you to adjust. In the Marines, we talked about improvise, adapt, and overcome. This is your opportunity to get better. One guy left a quote on my Instagram, said, Matt, if you've been doing at it, I'm going to follow you, but if you keep failing, now what? Well, just because you fail doesn't mean that's the end all be all. Adjust. If you keep hitting your head against the wall, look up, look for another way. Either go through the wall, go up the wall, around the wall, under the wall, improvise, adapt, and overcome. This next video here. If you go to the gym, speaking of failure, let's go to this next video about going to the gym and working out and not seeing any results.
Come on, baby.
If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. So clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit. Or, if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, you commit yourself to an act of service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day, you can skip a day or two, but if you stick with it consistently, you'll start getting into shape. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency.
Bro, I mean, it's talk to us about that one. Take the lead on this one.
1,000%. You know, there's so many options nowadays, Matt. Especially with women. Actually, you know what? With both men and women. With men and women now, there's so many surgical procedures that all you need to do is pay 10, 15 grand up front. You lay on a table for 2, 3, 4 hours, and all of a sudden you come out skinny. Nice BBL, nice liposuction. There's chest implants. There's abdominal implants. There's calf implants. There's shoulder implants. There's all these implants that people are now looking into just so that way. There's a new surgery that came out, I think maybe last year or about 2 years ago. They've been playing with it where men can actually can increase in height by a couple inches by getting their legs done.
What?
I think it's like a $50,000 to $70,000 procedure where you can actually grow about 5-6 inches if I'm not mistaken. So everything's so attainable now. Everything can just be at the grasp of a reach.
Bro, if you can spend $50,000 to $75,000 to increase 2-3 inches,
that's the wrong place to increase.
it's the wrong place for you to be putting your money because, man, if you can put that type of money, chances are you got other money elsewhere.
Exactly.
And a 5'4" man, 5'5" man can stand taller than a 6-foot guy. You know, with that type of money.
And here's the thing: for the men who are even considering that kind of procedure, you need to be able to also keep in mind that everything in your body needs to be aligned to each other. So if you're a 5'4" dude with a 5'4" dude sized penis, and you decide to get up to 5'10", 6'0",
it's got to be proportional.
there's going to be zero proportion. So you're going to be a 6 foot tall dude with a 5'4" dude's penis. So you need to be very mindful of those type of things as well. But it's the same thing, man. Like nowadays with a lot of these students, they have Chat GTP. They have all these online sources for them to be able to get the information they need in a clickable button online on their phones or on their laptops. They're no longer going to books anymore. They're no longer reading. They're no longer studying. A thesaurus, I haven't heard that word in such a long period of time.
Yeah.
When is the last time you actually see people go to a library to actually get information when they just have it in the palm of their hand? They pay $1,000 for this, or they do monthly payments for
synonyms.
this.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
They get it there, and the same thing for their physiological health. People don't want to put in the work. People want to get immediate results. So obviously, when it comes down to the gym, and you go to a gym one day and you expect to see results, it's not going to happen. And you have that attitude, it's going to be extremely hard for you to have that sustainable way of life.
Yeah, it's 17 years I didn't work out after the military, and it built up a bunch of scar tissue. And then when I eventually ran across. By the way, this is if you go to my Instagram, I posted this on my Instagram. This is me in high school, man. This is Jordan. If we can go to my screen, this is me in high school. All right, Morton West. You went to Friars West. I went to Morton West.
Yeah.
So here's my combine results. 4,640, 225 was what my one rep.
One rep.
Not even. Vertical fit. So I was fast. I was somewhat fast, and I was somewhat explosive. This is a picture of me post-military. This is when I ran across you, right, Milton?
Yeah.
Right. This is me. This is
That
me.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. This is me in the military. This is me with my daughters in Cancun, and I went to the gym and I said, Milton, I just need to get in better shape. I need to put my head down. I need to start feeling better about myself. I was dealing with a lot of aches and pains, arthritis. I used to take a lot of inflammation drugs. I don't take any prescription drugs today. Zero.
Matt, would you also, if you don't mind getting a little bit deeper with that, were you also encountering some form of PTSD and mental health?
Of course, yeah. I mean, like how frustrated am I with you sometimes when I can't get to the gym and work out?
Yeah.
And then when I'm at the gym and my lower back is acting up, how pissed off that I can't carry on sometimes with the rest of the workout.
Yeah.
And like Milton pinned me, my back is seizing up, and you feel my back. It's all tense up. And I call Milton the people's elbow, but that's so freaking therapeutic for me, man, to go to the gym. And you're teaching me to eat right, and if I get the right foods, I get the right foods processing. I don't have preservatives. I don't have additional salt. Like, I mean, to this day, I still ask you, bro, I'm going to a new restaurant. What should I eat here? Right? I'm asking those questions.
To this day.
Yeah.
To this day, an author, a millionaire, a father, a husband, a guy who runs a company really, really well, still comes to someone and asks for advice. Extremely coachable. If you're not, this man's making 7 figures a year, living the life that a lot of people wish they could be living. Yet he's extremely coachable to certain areas of his life that he doesn't have full grasp on. And if a man of his status can do that and be in the successful position that he's in, who are you to have that amount of pride not to be able to ask for help when you need it? A lot of people are scared to ask, man. A lot of people are too proud to ask for help.
Listen, if you want to get better, of course you're going to ask for help. Pride will keep you from asking for help, thinking that you can do this all on your own. We need people. We need friends. We need relationships. We need people that can help us get to the next level. And by the way, fast forward. This is you working on my back. If you take a look at the screen, my back wasn't looking like this. This is you working on my back, bro.
Yeah.
And this is after you got done massaging me. After
that was that post massage pump.
Yep.
Yeah.
Post. And by the way, it's not this ain't no flex. We're not flexing at all. All I'm saying is that I feel a lot better today. I'm going to turn 50 later this year. I feel better now at 49 years old than I did when I was 34, 35, post-military.
Yeah.
And I can run at my son. It's funny because Sheena's looking at me outside the bedroom window, and she's like, Jordan's fast, isn't he? Because I'm saying goodbye to my son. My son, he loves it when I chase him. My son, he takes off because he loves it when I chase him, and I'm running after him. I'm on my knees when he was a baby. I'm crawling on his knees. Remember when I first started working out together with you? Remember I could not get on my knees?
One of the most frustrating seasons of your life. Very frustrating. You can feel the energy within you, just aggravated, annoyed, upset because of that. It's been a journey, man. It's been a journey, and we're still going strong.
It's still going strong because I want to get better.
Yeah.
I want to get better at this thing. I want to get stronger. I want to work on more flexibility. And I'm frustrated sometimes that I can't do certain exercise, but man, I'm working at it, which boils down to habits. So let's look at his next video about the 3 habits that can make you a millionaire. Let's take a look at this.
Are the 3 habits that made you a millionaire at 23?
Learning to say no. No to girls, no to parties, no to plus 18 things, because those things, they really distracted me a lot. And I had to learn how to control myself. Number 2, I love to fail. I have failed at almost every single thing in my life. And only the lessons that I've learned are worth billions and not millions. And number 3 is going to the gym and taking care of my health, because it's health first, wealth, love, and then happiness.
By the way, this is our first time looking at this video. By the way, the girl he's talking to across the way, beautiful.
Beautiful woman.
Beautiful woman. And for him to be in control, a man that can manage his emotions, his discipline over his character, and go places, man. It takes discipline to do that. But what's the flip side? The flip side is I want to sleep with every girl. I want to hook up with every girl. I want to go to every party. And then you look up. By the way, I did that for 10 years. And I look back and I said, you know what do I have to show for? I don't have any really solid friendships. I don't have barely any money saved in the bank. I've got nothing to show for, but got everything to owe for. And that's why I often say I paid my entire 30s for the mistakes of my 20s. What's your thoughts about those habits? Notice it wasn't about specific investing or real estate or stock or crypto.
Lifestyle. It's all lifestyle, man. As a man, if you have an immature mindset, women are going to be a massive distraction for you, and I'm at fault for that as well. I'm a huge fault for that, and which is why a couple of weeks ago, I think you were telling me a story about PBD, how he was telling how I think he was it a year without any type of intimacy with the woman,
right?
And then you also went a long period of time without any intimacy, whether it was by choice or voluntary.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any serious relationship for 14 years.
Yeah,
of course, I had my girlfriends here and there, but it was nothing where I was gonna get expose myself in a position of. By the way, there's one girl one time, and I cut it off with her because I said, let me borrow your phone. Next thing I see on her phone, she's kissing some other dude. And I'm like, what's this? And she's like, that was an old picture. He just sent it to me. Okay, if you sent it to her, why do you have it still in your phone?
Yeah.
I said, BS. I'm not calling. So anyway, I cut her off with her. And anyway, a year later, guess what she has? Another kid with that guy. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, that could have been me. So I've dodged the bullet. I would have had 3 baby mamas, unmarried. I've been partying. I had a great time temporarily. This guy at 23 years old, thinking long term. The problem with most people, they're too short term thinking. History favors those that think for the long term. And if you think in that manner, you're going to be able to look back in your life and say, you know what, I'm glad I made that decision. How many people love Facebook memories? I love Facebook memories. Some people hate that shit.
I hate that shit.
The only time to look back is to see how far you've come. Yeah. Sadly, there's a lot of people out there with Facebook memories, and their life is still the same. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, they're still the same. And their current status updates and posts justify why they are still today the same person they were 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. Listen, you should change. You should evolve. If you are really set on values and principles, they should be even more thought out. They should be even more clear. Or you should have gotten rid of certain people or certain values and principles that aren't working in those 5, 6, 7 years. It shouldn't be the same person. If you're still recognizable from 5, 7, 10 years ago, there's something wrong there. Let's go to the next video. Why modern men are scared of marriage. Let's take a look at this.
Go into a dream scenario.
I don't know, man.
Let's say you go to a car dealership. You finally save up that money to buy, what's your dream car?
Right now, G-Wagon.
All right, you save up the $250,000, $300K to buy one, right? Dealer tells you, hey, it's fucking impeccable, it's beautiful, it's this color that you've been wanting, you've been dreaming about it, etc. You buy it, but then you find out on the odometer that there's 100,000 miles on it.
I knew you was gonna say that.
How would that make you feel?
It's bullshit.
You would feel duped, wouldn't you?
Of course.
Because other people drove the vehicle around and didn't pay as much as you did, right?
Yeah.
So why is it that men are insecure on a woman's body count, but if you were to buy a brand new car, aka marriage, and that car was used, you would feel duped?
Stuck. They got nothing to say. They got nothing to say. There's mileage on it, man. But the sticker price said brand new. So, I mean, why are modern men today scared of marriage? Is it this because of body count?
You know what, man? I can say that I was probably one of those. Well, still trying to work through it, Matt. One of those shallow guys who was like, yeah, body count matters. But then I always get humbled by the women in my family. Like, why does it matter to you so much? Like, why does it matter for men? Why does it matter that that women have an X amount of body count, but yet the men are allowed to go out and dick around as much as they want?
Yeah.
Right. And as uncomfortable as that sounds, then I have to question myself. Is that coming from a place of insecurity? Or, what place is that coming from? Is a woman who's been through 20, 30, 40 men not capable of loving someone, once they meet someone? For example, I come across a woman today, fall head over heels for her. I feel like this is it, this is that. She meets every quality that I've ever wanted in a woman. 6 months down the line, I'm like, I'm ready to marry this woman. But turns out she's been through an X amount of men. Mm-hmm. Is that going to be the defining factor between me and being with someone that we mesh with, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's for that aspect. I could say maybe a couple years ago, I was like, fuck no, I'm not going to be with someone who's been with X amount of people. But then I have to kind of turn around and look at myself in the mirror and say, all right, well, what have you done? Where have you been? And now is that more of a open-minded type of approach when it comes down to relationships? Or is that just me trying not to overcross any boundaries and speak on a woman's behalf?
It's why are certain sports cards more valuable than others? The ones that are very valuable are 1 of 1, right? 1 of 1. An RPA, rookie patch from the uniform and an autograph, 1 of 1, very special, very rare card. So what's more valuable, the very rare card, 1 of 1, or 1 of 1,000, or 10,000 that's available that's out in the marketplace?
But wouldn't that rare card also want something that's rare as well?
Sure, absolutely, they would. That's why it's both sides.
Yeah, 1,000%.
It's both sides. So when you're looking at your life, like I told my wife, I said, sweetheart, going forward, I want you to judge me from after Christ, not pre-Christ, right? And I just got to let you know all my stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's one thing to not know. It's one thing to be ignorant, not know, and do what you do, but it's another thing to know and still do what is against that knowledge once you receive it.
Would you say a lot of, and we can speak about men. I feel kind of weird speaking on a woman's behalf. Again, last time I checked this morning at 8
You're still a man. You still identify?
Yeah, I still identify as a man. But would you say that there's a lot of shit that us as men do not disclose to women, no matter how deep we are into a relationship? Certain things of our past, certain things we've done, certain things we've acted upon, said, certain approaches we've had with other women. Would you say, or at least for your experience, would you say that there's things that your partner does not know about from your past?
Sheena knows everything about my past. Yeah. The good, the bad, the ugly. She does.
Yeah.
And the thing I tell her, she's like, well, Matt, how many sexual partners you had? I say, sweetheart, listen.
Right.
I can't number it. It's because, there's, and that's where I hope you have grace to forgive me.
Yeah.
I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I just thought the way you validated yourself as a man was having a high body count.
Yeah.
This might be in my 20s. But once I got to know the Lord, once I got to know how God intended marriage to be, how living together faithfully with one man and one woman, right? And when a man is with other women, it's called adultery. It's one of the 10 commandments.
Yeah.
Because when you start diverting your energy and emotion and your loyalties and your commitments, you're not committed.
Yeah.
You're not loyal. And so, it's many scriptures in there. Now, I've been asking Rabbi Lappin, so Rabbi King Solomon, my biblical hero, he had 600 wives and 400 concubines. He had 1,000 opportunities to have sex, and he had multiple, thousands of kids. And so, the argument is every civilization in the world is led with a man as a leader and multiple wives. But what they don't say is the following. They've also ended that empire or that reign because of sexual immorality.
Yeah.
What happened to King Solomon, who's considered the wisest and richest king who ever lived? He started marrying women of different faiths and religions. He started worshiping their idols, and what God say? Man, I thought you had it, bro.
Yeah.
Now you're not. Your kids are. We're going to divide between your sons. So he divided the wealth between the sons, and after that was the downfall of the golden age of the 40-year reign of King Solomon over the people of Israel, because he had sexual immorality. What did his father do, by the way? King David. King David had he looked upon his general's wife, Bathsheba. He says, "Oh, yo, what's up, girl? Come into my chambers." He had sex with his general's wife, and then comes to find out she's pregnant. And what does he do to try to cover this up? He sends the general to war. "Hey, man, come back because I want you to spend a night with your wife because I know you've been working really hard." And the general says, "What are you talking about? My men are at war right now. My men are at war right now. You're talking about come back. I'm going to sleep outside. I don't deserve to spend a night with my wife and sleep with her when my men are in war." You see, no, man, he sends him out to war, puts him on the front line, gets him killed. Sexual sin, sexual immorality.
Yeah.
And so, these are things that once you know about it, and by the way, there's not a man or woman without sin, but that's where you have to have grace and forgiveness. That's why you have to have God wrapped in your life, because once you start getting away from values and principles, and it's just about you or her, me, myself, my own image. Remember, you're created in God's image. And the further you get away from God's image, you're now in your image, which is a selfish, narcissistic image. And if you know that there's a plan for you, a purpose for you, a godly design for you, then that's the values and principles you want to follow. And when you deviate from that, that's when you run into a lot more problems. So let's go into the next topic here. Teachers Union recognizes drawbacks of remote learning, but hesitates to return on in-person schooling. Let's take a look at this.
Weingarten, do you agree that in-person learning provides the best educational opportunity for students?
Yes.
Do you agree that remote learning may exacerbate educational inequities, be detrimental to educational attainment, and worsen a growing mental health crisis in children?
Yes.
One of the worst side effects of prolonged school closures has been learning loss. Is a pandemic associated with learning loss? Is that real?
Well, yes, of course it's real.
I agree with you. It has been.
But what?
So that's the end of the video? Okay. So what people lose out is soft skills. So one thing I learned about algebra and solving that math problem, it's another thing to solve a problem when you have a problem with somebody else. And that's what life is all about. Yeah, there's a math problem. I can solve the algebra, the geometry, the trigonometry. But when I have conflict with somebody else, what I lose out, here's some essential soft skills that people lose out when you are remote learning or remote working. Yeah. Number one, teamwork. You lose out on teamwork. Number two, problem solving. Number three, communication. Number four, adaptability. Number five, critical thinking. Number six, time management. And number seven, interpersonal skills. And I can't tell you how much our business has exploded in a positive way. As soon as COVID ended, we did well when COVID was causing people to stay at home, and we did Zoom. But as soon as we start able to come back to the office, boom, we came back to the office, and our business starting to boom right now. It can create an exponential of movement because people are in person and they're building their interpersonal skills all over again. Milton, what do you prefer doing? An online trainer only through an app, or do people have a greater satisfaction with you as a trainer, the experience together with you when you're in person with them in the gym and you're able to show them, adapt them their techniques, and coach them along the way in person live?
I like human interaction, man. That's one of the main reasons why I haven't gone the route of online coaching and just solely doing online coaching. I have peers of mine who, whenever, just like you guys have your annual conventions, major conventions.
Yep.
Us in the fitness industry, we also have conventions that we go to, we connect, we network.
Yep.
And we have trainers who take their business online, only online, and these people are making $1.1, $1.2 million a month. Online coaching, that's it. Mm-hmm. But it's everything that they provide for their clientele, cookie cutter, very generalized, very, just have this. Here's this program that you can easily Google. Here's this workout program that you can easily also Google. Supplement list, whatever the case may be, anything that a trainer provides to a client, but there's no hands-on, there's no connection, there's no relationship between the client and the trainer, because the trainer is training over 1,000 people online, but there's no engagement. It's all automated.
My question for them then is client acquisition. So how do you acquire the client to go to your app, to go to your website, to be able to provide coaching online?
The influence that you've gained online, it's all through ads now. It's all automated.
That's it.
It's all
ads. So it's ads?
Ads. It's all ads.
So if they're making $1.2 million, $1 to $2 million a month, my next question then would be, what's your cost for client acquisition?
Yeah.
What does it cost to for example, a guy approached me about starting an Amazon store. Hey, Matt, you got $100,000 in your credit card? Of course I do. Let's start an Amazon store. says, okay, so what do you need $100,000? So I need $100,000 for you to charge on advertising to come to your e-commerce store. So therefore we can generate, $150,000 in sales a month. So wait a minute. I need to come up with $100,000 in advertising first to come up with $150,000 in sales so I can make a 30% profit. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Because the moment I stop advertising, do I actually have a real business?
Right.
I don't.
That's something that's extremely trendy right now, especially in the fitness world. All those people who are following, watching us, and are in the fitness world or are considering getting someone online. Matt, like you have no idea how many gurus are on Instagram and Facebook who are posting ads, spending maybe about $500 to $3,000 max, unless you're making decent money. You probably spend around 10, 15 grand on ads. That are pushing out, these online trainings, these online coaching opportunities. And now a lot of these trainers are transitioning. They find one system that works for them. Now all of a sudden they become the gurus that they get to train trainers, something like what you guys are doing this week. They go online, they tell the trainers, hey, are you tired of only making 2-3 grand a month? I found a system, or I have a blueprint that you can make anywhere between 10 to 30 grand in the next 60 days. Yeah. People latch on to that. Now people pay them 16 to 20 grand for their help for 3 months. Yeah. And I've been pitched. I've been approached. Like, hey man, look, this is how much we're making. This is how much this person's making a month. If you want to be able to leave your clients behind and say, fuck your clients and just go online and create more time, because that's how they sell you. That's how they were trying to sell me. Yeah. Milton, aren't you tired of just seeing people on a daily basis? Aren't you tired of the responsibility that you have with your clientele? What if you can just buy back all your time and you can literally work from your laptop as long as you have Wi-Fi from anywhere in the world and not give a fuck about anything that's going on? Yeah. Milton, true success is being able to buy back your time, which I agree. But if you want that success, I have the blueprint for you. It will be 16 grand. For the next 3 months, I'm going to show you how to build a system online. But again, as you said, everything has to do with relationship, Matt. Everything. Yeah. If I'm not pushing out ads, I'm not making money. If I'm not pushing out ads, I'm not getting clients. I need to be first need to be able to build a relationship and a base with clients in order for me to be able to have that exposure. What I have today, I've been doing this since 2009, 2010. It took me 12 years to be able to build this reputation of what I've gotten up to this day. Yeah. 10 years. And all these online people are preaching that in the next 30 to 60 days, you can make $30,000 to $40,000 a month. Yeah. In a short period of time, based through ads. Yeah. Yeah. But you got to have a big bankroll to do. And by the way, that was the same thing for me, insurance. If I put $5,000-$7,000 a month in direct mail, this is before ads. Yeah, yeah. $5,000 to $7,000 in direct mail, you get X amount of people to come to your dinner seminar to teach them financial concepts, and 3, 4, 5 of them might become your clients. You can get $30,000 in process. So does it make sense to spend $7,000 in advertising to make $30,000 in revenue? So the short answer is yes. Yeah. But long term, eventually, what I don't want to do, keep spending $7,000 a month. Yeah. I want to redeploy that into jobs. I want to redeploy that into infrastructure. I want to redeploy that into new departments. I don't want to be stuck on steroids. I want to grow my business on an organic basis. And the best businesses grow by word of mouth. And I can transfer that. It's more of a saleable asset to also transfer that to the next generation, to an investor, if that process is more organic. Next one, Jordan Peterson, your job as a parent.
Your job as a parent is to make your child socially desirable by the age of 4. Like you want to burn that into your brain, because people don't know that. That's your job. And here's why. It's easy if you think about it carefully. So you imagine you've got a 3-year-old child, so sort of halfway through that initial period of socialization, and you take that child out in public. Okay, what do you want for the child? Who cares about you? What do you want for the child? You want the child to be able to interact with other children and adults so that the children are welcoming and smile and want to play with him or her, and so the adults are happy to see the child and treat him or her properly. And if your child's a horrible little monster because you're afraid of disciplining them or you don't know how to do that properly, then what they're going to do is they're going to experience nothing but rejection from other children and false smiles from other parents and adults. And so then you're throwing the child out there into a world where every single face that they see is either hostile or lying. And that's not something that's going to be particularly conducive to the mental health or the well-being of your child.
Yeah, I love it, because that's why you got to tell your kids the boundaries. And because if you help your kids, and by the way, that goes back to interpersonal skills. Goes back to why remote learning doesn't work long term. because you miss out on those soft skills. What he's talking about is not teaching kids the ABCs. He's teaching his kids by the age of 4 soft skills, interpersonal skills. I'm trying to look here for a video of my son just jamming out here with his class because he was leading a class at 3 years old, 4 years old on the months of the year, January, February, March. My kid was leading the class. I want my kids to be a light in the classroom, not a light when they leave the classroom. And so, 100% true. Absolutely. Jordan Peterson, I love that, is teaching kids how to get along with other people. Because what's all this crazy? Now, we had a shooting here, right, in Allen, Texas, right?
Yeah, 9 people, right?
Right by our house, 9 people killed. What's the reason why we have mass shootings in a school? If you drill it down to the core, people are feeling bullied, people are feeling isolated, people are feeling that they're not recognized and accepted for who they are. It all go back down to isolation and loneliness. Yeah. If you really boil all down these issues, why does a man want to dress like a woman? Why does a woman want or just like a man, or LGBT altogether? If you look at the core root of it, is because they feel accepted, just like gangs in Chicago. You may not have hung out with your family, but the gang accepted you, and amongst them, you are somebody. Same type of situation here. By the way, I want to know what your thoughts about this. Where do you think all this stuff is coming from? Because the same gun that took out those 9 people is the same gun that neutralized the killer. The same gun that neutralized the shooter. And the argument is going back and forth. Should we eliminate gun laws? Listen, it's about here. The mental illness and the situations of America. And by the way, you want to add on top of that, these guys were also illegally, I think 2 of the 3 of the shooters were illegally in the country. So they've been arrested multiple times, they've been deported multiple times, and been still allowed to come back in the country and now commit crimes. But that's another conversation.
And man, a lot of it sounds as if it's coming from the household, right? They always say that it starts at home, it starts at home, it starts at home, it starts with the parenting. So from you, being a parent already, and I guess you can say also mature to a man of your status, and having kids at a broad range from a very young age, single digits, to now, I think Ruben's 28 years old, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
What are maybe like 2-3 principles that you would say to new parents or to current parents that they can implement into their child's life or to the way they live their lifestyle with their kids, so that way they can ensure that the likelihood of their kids acting out, going crazy on some certain level is,
Yeah.
low?
For example, if you don't like the public school system, the other option is to either homeschool them. Here's my concern with homeschooling. They're only going to be with me. They're going to learn from me. They're only going to be around people like me. They're not going to be around kids their age. I want them socialized around other children. The second part is competition. There's not like improving your skill set because you took an L. There's not like improving your skills because you got a C in a class or an F in a class. You want to improve your skills. I want my children to be exposed to competition. The area of that is also not only looking for perfection, but also looking for excellence. You'll never be perfect in my eyes. The only one perfect person in this world is a man they put on the cross and crucified. That's the only perfect man in the entire world. But the standard is improvement. The standard is getting better. And sometimes parents, they're too overbearing. They want the kids to be perfect at school. So instead of the kid doing the school, I see that in class all the time, brother, the homework is perfect. The display is perfect. The presentation is perfect. They got to show in front of the kids. I'm like, that kid didn't do that. The parents did that. So what are you teaching your kids? If I'm not going to do the work, my mom and dad are going to do the work, so therefore I look good. It's wrong, man. The kids got to take the blame and the reward and the recognition for when things go wrong and when things go right. Let's go to the next one. I've been a rich man and I've been a poor man, and I chose this every time.
I've been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. When I have to face my problems, I show up in the back of a limo wearing a $2,000 suit and a $40,000 gold fucking watch.
He threw it away. He's a Wolf of Wall Street.
You listen to me and you listen well. Are you behind on your credit card bills? Good. Pick up the phone and start dialing. Is your landlord ready to evict you? Good. Pick up the phone and start dialing. Does your girlfriend think you're a fucking worthless loser?
Yes.
Good. Pick up the phone and start dialing. I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
Listen, man, I've had problems too as well. I've been on both sides, and I have to agree. Maybe not in that particular demeanor, throwing away a $40,000 watch, whatever the case would be. But back to this book that we're reading, Book of the Month. Actually, thinking big. He talks about excusitis. 4 biggest reasons why people have excuses of why they can't get something done. You know, people often, from a biblical perspective, Matt, you know, you shouldn't be preaching getting rich because, you know, you're a Christian, right? You know, God says, you know, money is the root of all evil. No, in 1 Timothy, it talks about the love of money is the root of all evil, not money being evil. Money is just a tool. Money is an object. It's a tool. It can't be evil by itself. The use of it is evil, and the use of it is the user of that specific tool. And so the flip side to a prosperity gospel is also the poverty gospel, where you shouldn't have anything. I'm talking about being right in the middle. You got enough to make sure you're taking care of your family. You got enough to make sure you're taking care of your children. You got enough to make sure you're creating generational wealth. Oftentimes in the Bible, how many different scriptures in Proverbs that King Solomon despised the word laziness? King Solomon, the richest and wisest king we ever lived, despised the word laziness. Talking about the lazy man does not deserve to eat. If you don't work for your current existence, you don't deserve to be living off of other people, which is why I have a big problem with this whole Biden increasing the interest rates for people that have good credit and decreasing interest rates for people that have bad credit. It's opposite of this principle. And you're rewarding mediocrity. You're rewarding for you to be dependent upon somebody else. You don't become a millionaire, a first-generation cash flow millionaire by depending on other people. You become a first-generation cash flow millionaire by having faith, by asking yourself to gain greater skills, to improve in different areas, to overcoming failures, so therefore that you can become successful, so therefore you can be independent and not dependent. These are things that the path of getting rich, and also money will expose your character at that point. When you're rich, what will you do? Will you be a bigger giver, or will you be more of a nasty person? Money's going to expose that. But in the meantime, get rich. I highly suggest it. I'd rather you have money in the bank for things that you want to do than not have money in the bank. Mm-hmm. All right. So speaking of money in the bank, let's take a look at this article here. Let me go here to this. Says six-figure salary that generation millennials and Gen Z. Survey conducted by Skynova found that young adults between the age of 22 and 35 would need to earn an average salary of $121,000 a year to feel like they have "quote unquote" made it. With Gen Z aiming slightly higher and pinning at $124,000, and millennials earmarking $120,000. These figures are significantly above the median income in America, which is $69,000. Okay, 58% of the two youngest generations of workers are unsatisfied with the current earnings. And when thinking about their desired salary, millennials and Gen Z are pushing well above the average with the desired pay package between $71,000 and $80,000. The top paying professionals for young people are lawyers, securities, commodities, and financial services sales agents, web developers, architectural and engineering managers, and software developers. Well, I'll tell you this, Milton, when I was in my 20s, I became a financial services person. I made more money than my peers. They made money initially in the first few years because I had to build up my business. But by the time I turned 30, I was making well above them. So it's interesting how people in this age group are well surpassed. I mean, what do you think? Is that misguided? Is that something that's off base? Is it too overstepping their current maturity rate? What's your thoughts on it? You're a millennial.
I definitely am. One of the things that I've noticed with a lot of these pay scales and these careers are happening nowadays, the careers they're up and coming. If you want to make good money from the trends that I've been seeing from what we have right now in our society, Matt, pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on right now in our society. What's up and coming. One of the biggest things is web developing, and software developing. Everything's going on with AI. A lot of people are literally grabbing that by the horns and running with it full speed. And AI is literally, if you're doing it the correct way, you know what steps to take, you already have an idea on how to run a business, how to run your business in your industry. Applying some form of artificial, AI into your business and knowing how to take step by step, it can literally take your business to the next level. And a lot of these, careers that have been pushed up on us for years, like the nursing, the police officer, the CDLs, and being a teacher and being a cop, being a firefighter. I feel like a lot of those are starting to become very back then versus what's up and coming now when it comes down to the financial aspect of it. Because you don't see a lot of teachers making over $50,000, $60,000 a
Crazy.
year.
And yet they spend $100,000 on their master's degree to
100%.
get a teaching certification, all that.
You don't see a lot of police officers, capping out at over $80,000 a year, and that's in a good neighborhood. You still see a lot of these police officers making around $45,000 a year, risking their lives on a daily basis. Firefighters making around maybe $50,000, $60,000 a year, running the risk of getting killed every single day or every single time they get a call for a fire or some type of explosive. And keeping up with our society and what's going on worldwide, you would see that a lot of these online things are the ones that are starting to take off when it comes down to, once again, web developing and software developing and your industry, the financial aspect, the insurance industry. That's one thing that stuck to me. Milton, you need to be able to find something that not only is it recession proof, but now also pandemic proof. And for some reason, those two things have always stuck to me. What can I do for the rest of my life that could be pandemic proof and recession proof? And if I'm currently not in that field, how can I create what I have to become those two things that you consistently preach to your staff and to your agents? And
if you're, and by the way, there's nothing wrong in wanting that, but I just think it's kind of misguided. Think that in your 20s and 30s, some employer with you having no experience is going to pay you $120,000. I was sitting down, the chief information officer for a top 50 S&P 500 company, right? One of the top 50 companies in America, publicly traded. Sat down with the CIO, the chief information officer. Everything about IT goes through his office. He's in charge of it. He reports to the CEO. This guy's making $250,000 a year. This guy's an MBA. 30 years in corporate America before you start making $250,000 a year. So if you're thinking that you want to be on a track in your 20s and 30s and make $120,000, $150,000 a year, consider one of these careers that this article mentioned. By the way, I picked, without a college degree, I picked a financial services sales agent. I became an insurance agent. And so I made my $100,000 without a college degree with a 2.2 GPA because I learned how to sell financial products and services. And the clients that we are having today are very satisfied and happy because we're safe money strategy type people. They haven't lost a dime in the market. And when real estate and mortgage licenses help people in their best of financial times, an insurance license helps people during their worst financial times. And so you got to figure out which side of the coin you want to be on. And that's the benefit of being in business for yourself. You're looking at two guys here on this podcast. They're not working for somebody. We're working for ourselves, which leads me into my next topic. According to this article, the traditional capitalist system, based on transactional approaches and contracts, has limitations in times of crisis. Rabbi Lord Sachs argued that a conventional approach based on bonds of loyalty and trust can transform and benefit everyone involved in long term. Conventional capitalism is about creating meaningful relationships between business and people. Faith and business are inextricably linked. Religious principles, such as ensuring economic prosperity through brotherhood and shared values, form the foundation for economic institutions. Creating a conventional capitalism that works for everyone requires a recommitment to these principles and investing capital, time, and effort. And that's why it's faith made millionaire, brother. And I'm glad an article like this exposed the fact that once you gravitate away from just being transactional, it's based on values and principles. How many times do people today trust a handshake business transaction versus saying, man, put it on paper?
Yeah.
Because today, people's word isn't bond anymore. I mean, if you look at any of these movies from the chivalry days, people got killed because they come through there with a word. People put their lives on the line. I mean, if you just look at any, I was just watching 300 the other day.
It's a good movie.
You either come back with your shield or on it.
Yeah.
In other words, you devote your life to you coming through. Either you won or you lost. Either come back with your shield because you won, or you come back on your shield because you lost. What's your thoughts on this?
I was looking at a Bible verse, Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 12. And it reads, 2 are better than one because they have good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift the other up. But woe to the one who is alone and falls and does not have another to help up. Again, if 2 lie together, they keep warm. How can one keep warm alone? And I think it goes hand in hand with what you just spoke on. Being able to be in business with someone that you trust and being able to have some form of principles and values approaching the business together and having the same vision and mission together to be able to be there for one another, and at a time of loss or a time of gain.
Yep.
And nowadays, as you said, man, it's extremely hard to be able to find someone or have someone in your corner or in your network that you can genuinely trust full on without, again, I need this on paper.
Yeah.
Because there's no trust. There's that line that a lot of people just don't want to cross anymore.
And if you come through, at least I have documentation to sue you and bring you in court.
Correct.
Which, by the way, is not the Christian way or faith-based way to overcome conflict. You're talking about scripture. I looked at one of my favorite ones, Deuteronomy 32, verse 30. How can one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight? So in other words, one can set flight to 1,000, but two can set flight to 10,000. Exponential math if their rock and values and principles are on the same foundation. So for some of you, I wonder out there, how has capitalism gotten away? Capitalism has changed my life. Capitalism changed this guy's life. Capitalism allowed me to pay my guys last month over $1.6 million in commissions and fees. Capitalism allowed this kid that's got no pedigree, immigrant family from the Philippines, 2.2 GPA, Morton West High School, Proviso West High School. Why are you right now not dependent on church, charity, and government or other friends and family? Why? Capitalism. Because it allowed me to have economic mobility, to go from broke to balling, zero to at least hero to my kids, hopefully. Nothing to something. Capitalism. And here's the thing with capitalism. It's free to buy, free to sell. Free to win, but also free to fail. And it's the failure part that people don't want to hear about. It's the failure part that people say, we need to have a soft landing. It's the failure part that people say, we need participation trophies. But that's not the way life works. It's either you win or you lose. And then through your losses, you have to find ways to win. And the thing with capital, the opposite is gravitating towards socialism and communism, where socialism is saying, okay, Milton, since I didn't make enough sales this week to pay my bills, I need to take money out of your sales to make sure I pay my bills. Fair? Communism says, the government says, oh, Milton, you are now directed to help Matt with his bills because he couldn't pay his bills. So now we're going to force money out of your business, which we own, by the way, to help Matt pay his bills. You okay with that? You cool?
That's bullshit, man.
That's it, 100%. Speaking of which, what are they teaching now in schools? Let's look at this next article. Teachers' unions in an indoctrination to hate capitalism. Indoctrination to hate capitalism. So a Colorado Education Association pasted this, and they're putting through a resolution that they require the exploitation of children's schools, land and labor and resources as an opposition to fully addressing systematic racism, climate change, patriarchy, education inequality, and income inequality. The resolution is part of a nationwide effort by teachers' unions to push leftist ideologies rather than actual instruction. So in other words, instead of teaching our kids plus minus, ABCs, science, engineering, medicine, STEM, legal, now they're pushing in indoctrination. If you and I believed that systemic racism couldn't exist, I mean, has there been times where I felt because I was brown, I wasn't getting the deal? Or I felt because I wasn't good enough that I wasn't getting the deal. Because I didn't have the right skills or right marketing or right way to educate people. Not because of the color of my skin, not because of where I grew up, not because of my parents, because of me. What opportunities do we have today that anybody can't have in America? And in this current age, may have happened maybe 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, but what opportunities today, use of the internet, use of AI, that people today can't build a business from scratch and make $100,000 a year. Replace a full-time job so they can get the 40, 50, 60 hours they were dedicating to a boss back to them. What are your thoughts on this?
People want it easy, man, and people want something to blame. People want something to consistently blame. And again, I'm not going to speak on systemic racism personally. There's a lot of background when it comes down to that in events that have taken place in Chicago when I was heavily involved in certain community outreach programs. So I need to be very cautious of what I say on that aspect. But honestly, man, like it's. You know what, man? I think the reason why I don't want to speak on it because I know I myself was in that position at once where I was always playing the victim. You know, woe is me. I don't have this because of that. I don't have this because of the way I was brought up. I didn't get the same opportunities that XYZ person got. I failed at this because of that. I even blamed my school system. It was a shitty school system, but at the same time, at some point, you need to be able to take some form of ownership. And yeah, fine. Maybe you didn't get the deal because of your skin color. Okay, great. What can you do? What other options can you take? Or maybe you didn't get the opportunity because of the way you speak, or the background that you have, or the neighborhood that you grew up in, or because of the parents that you have, or whatever the case may be, or whatever it is may be. But I think you need to be able to be in charge of your own steps. You need to be able to be in charge of creating and opening doors for yourself, and not expecting other people to open doors for you just because of your situation, your race, your position, your sex, your background, your educational level. You're in charge of that. And if you're founded and you're rooted in God, knowing that God is who He is, you know that those steps and those doors are going to open for you. But you need to be able to take that first step. You need to stop waiting on God and start moving forward, because God's not going to move unless you move. God's waiting on you to take that first step. And as long as you keep saying, I'm waiting on God, I'm waiting on God, I'm waiting on God, you're not going to see any fruit in your life.
Yeah, it's a very easy way to say, you know what, I'm not getting the job because of this, my education. I get it from certain technical areas, but when somebody says, May is Asian American Pacific Islander Month. This month, AAPI month. I've been invited to the White House a couple years in a row to speak on behalf of the AAPI in terms of financial education and economic empowerment. And they said, hey, Matt, did you ever think that you've been invited to the White House because you're a top Filipino entrepreneur? You know what my initial answer was, even at the White House? I said, my goal wasn't to be a top Filipino entrepreneur, Asian American Pacific Islander. My goal was to be a top entrepreneur, period. Yeah. I don't care about AAPI, this, as much as I love being Filipino, as much as I love being an Asian American Pacific Islander, that type of community. I don't care how somebody labels me. I just want to know I am good enough to compete in the marketplace. That I'm going to out improve, I'm going to outwork, I'm going to out strategize, and I will outlast. I just want to know I can compete with the best of the best. That's my wiring. And so, how to get that wiring? One last thing we're going to cover here. We've been referencing books. What's one thing parents can do to help their kids more? Let's look at this article, Jordan. Most parents want to be an example for the kids. Read more. Read to them. Parents chose from an average of 3 books in their children's bedtime reads collection, and most parents want to set an example for the child by reading more to them, 83%. While most kids' bedtime stories consist of fairy tales, adventure books, and others offer non-traditional stories, such as informational books or historical books. One of my favorite things to do when my kids were young, Milton, to also make sure I got my reading in. Sorry, kids, time to go to bed. Here's the book we're going to read. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is an employee, kids. This is self-employed. And this is a business owner. The kids were giggling. They have no clue what I'm reading. But they feel my enthusiasm. They feel my excitement about the topic. And I'm getting my reading. And this is an investor. You want to be an investor? I want to be an investor. You want to be a business owner? Business owner. You want to be an employee? Right? So I was excited about it. Here is, the power of positive thinking, kids. So I'd make a fairy tale type of delivery to a nonfiction book. So therefore, my kids got fed that language and the excitement of me reading to them. And right now, my kids know this. If you want to do something in my house, my currency in my house growing up is reading books. You want your friends over? You want to play video games? You want money for Roblox or whatever the case may be? Great. Did you read? Great. By the way, reading there's no reward for that. But if you write me a report, $10 reward. If you give me a verbal presentation about what you read, what your biggest takeaways were, and you present it to, because I'm teaching my kids public speaking and being in front of me and pitching it to me, it's $20. And you get favors around the house. Doing your chores, no reward. You read a book, no reward. But if you give me a report, and by the way, JoJo's got a bunch of reports. We're having a conversation with a kid today. How do you feel about reading with your peer group? How do you feel about what's going on in society? What do you guys talk about in school? What do you talk about with your friends? Do you guys talk about politics? He goes, yeah, sometimes. I was expecting to say no. You talk about politics? Yeah, you do. Well, what about? Well, Dad, by the time I bring up politics and what's going on in the community today, I shut them down. They don't have anything to say. Yeah. You know why? Because JoJo, compared to other 12-year-olds, are more read up on a particular subject, and he has a stronger position of why he feels what he feels and how he can sell that argument to people that don't have that particular viewpoint. I looked at Sheena. I said, babe, he's going to be a lawyer. She's like, he's going to be whatever he wants to be. So yeah, but I think he's going to be a lawyer. he's a great negotiator. So Milton, episode 19. What are your final thoughts, brother, as we set off to go into episode 20 for next week?
Next week should be a good show. And once again, as I've always come forward on social media, stay informed, stay persistent, don't lose hope. If you fall, stand up. Once again, fall on your foundation, which should be God above all things. Put God first, second, and third above all things in your business, personal life, relationships, and everything that you do and everything that you say. And you're going to see the fruit in your life each and every single day. That rhymed. Should be a poet.
Come on, baby.
Come on, baby.
That's it, man. Well, I appreciate you guys for tuning into as well. This is an awesome journey. By the time we have next week's episode, we're doing a couple of things here in the community too as well. We're going to have a cigar event May 24th here in the North Dallas area. We'll give you more details, but it's going to be a cigars, wealth, and whiskey event May 24th. So if you are around locally, we'd love to meet you there at the Cigars, Wealth, and Whiskey event here May 24th. Drop us a DM. It's going to be here in North Dallas. We're firming up the location. The details are going to be released here by next week's podcast. With that being said, guys, Train is on right now. 3,000 of our guys here from across the country are in Dallas. And we're just very excited to help people from a personal finance standpoint, help people start their own businesses, and help people improve their financial literacy and financial education. So with that being said, I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your feedback. Please put it in the comment section below. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you please subscribe to the Millionaire Goals podcast. We'll see you next week, episode 20. With that being said, till we meet again, continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today.